We talked about 8 Passengers, right? The YouTube channel that Ruby Frank and her husband, Kevin, right? His name is Kevin. I'm not forgetting. Yes, Kevin. Ran and then closed because they were getting separated, and then she started connections with Jodi Hildebrandt. We have some updates. All right? Well, first of all, the 911 call. Okay? Yeah. Which I was going to listen to, but I kind of have a lot to talk about, so maybe we'll listen to it on the stream, or like you can play it, a little bit of it, just some like important parts of it.
I can cut it in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just cut in. I have timestamps written down. Just cut in those important parts.
911, the address of your emergency. Okay, and the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's said he just came from a neighbor's house, and we know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty.
Okay.
And he asked us to call the police.
What's
so he's
name?
very afraid. He's 12 years old.
Okay, and are the neighbors out of their home, or is anybody looking for them that you can see?
No. Our homes are far enough away. I'm not sure. How did you get out of the house?
Porch. He went out.
He says you just left through the porch at the neighbor's house. Her name is Jodi Hildebrandt, and she lives 2 doors up the street.
Out here in Cayenne, the houses are far apart.
Yeah, out here in Cayenne, the houses are far apart, so he walked just under a block to get to our house. He rang my doorbell and asked me to call the police.
Does he seem to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
I don't think so, but he's very thirsty and...
need an ambulance?
I don't think he needs an ambulance. I'll let the cops decide that, but his ankles are taped up, and he won't tell us why.
Okay.
But he has duct taped around each ankle. Yeah, there's sores around them. I think there's a good chance he's been... and he has them around his ankles. I mean, his wrists as well. Okay, this boy has been... He needs... This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Okay. Let's get the paramedics headed over that way, okay?
Oh, that's a good idea, too.
Let's see. Has he told you where his mom or dad are?
Haven't asked him that. Yeah. You know where your mommy and...
I really got these ones.
Yeah, I'm sure that doesn't matter, son. Do you know where your mom and dad are?
Well, actually, I don't know where my mom is, but I do know where my dad is. He's not anywhere here.
Really?
Nowhere here.
Okay. No, he doesn't seem to. He says he knows where his mom is, but...
he doesn't know where his dad is.
That's correct.
I do know where my dad is.
Is his mom home?
He doesn't live.
He just says he doesn't live around here.
Okay. Is his mom in this area?
Is your mom around here? Have you seen her lately? He doesn't know where she is right now.
Does he know his mom's name?
What's your mom's name? Ruby Franke? Ruby Franke is his mom's name.
Okay. How do you spell the last name?
Franke.
Franke.
Okay. And does she live in the area?
No, I'm not sure where she lives. He's trying to help us, but he's
don't want to stress him out too much. The officers will go over all these questions with him anyway. I just want to stay on the phone with you until we get some help there, okay?
Yeah,
can you ask him if any other children were in the home he came from?
Okay. Was there any other kids up at Jodi's house? Anybody else? No. Yeah, this is the 30th of, the 29th of August.
It'll be the 30th of August.
10 and 14, and they're still at this house.
Are they tied up as well?
What's the deal with? Are they being held? Do they have wounds on them as well?
Nothing bad going on with us.
Okay.
It's just me.
Okay. So they're able to walk around the house and everything?
Everything.
Well, okay. He says everything's fine with them. Grain of salt.
Okay.
He says what's happened to him is his fault.
That's not a problem. That's sad to hear. They're coming to you as quick as they can, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Really well. I just want to make sure.
He's fine. I've got him sitting here. My wife, he got him water and giving him something to eat because he's hungry, and I think the young man, he's hearing his stocking feet. So he escaped.
Well, I'm glad that he was able to make it to
They're on their way.
so he could be safe. They should just be pulling up now. Let me know when they're with you, okay?
Will do. I hear a car, but they're not coming on the driveway. Is Jodi up there right now?
Yes.
Okay. Jodi Hildebrandt is up there right now.
Okay.
So she may come looking for him here soon, but she's not going to, obviously. I think we need the cops here as soon as possible.
I'm just asking where he is now.
Yeah, she's a bad lady. We didn't realize how bad.
Okay.
But it's basically, the man calls in and he's like, I got him here, this kid, the duct tape,
He's
the
super
wounds,
confused.
the wounds. He cries. The man cries. Okay.
I know.
Breaks up in tears. Says he's wearing a shirt and shorts a long sleeve shirt and shorts that are way too big for him. They talk about the sister and actually Russell, which we know is it's Russell Franke is the 12-year-old boy that escaped Ruby, and Jodi, their torture basically in Jodi Hildebrandt's house. They talk about the sister and he actually says that she's okay on the 911 call, which I thought was strange. But then Ruby gets home.
Who says she's okay?
Or not Ruby. The little boy, Russell. He says that my sister is there.
She's alive.
Okay,
You're
it
talking
didn't sound like that.
12-year-old kid.
No, they asked him detailed questions. Like, is she walking around? Is she chained up like you? And he's like, no, she's...
You gotta remember, though, when you're a kid that has only grown up in trauma, you don't have the real-life comparison of what healthy looks like. So, trauma might look like healthy to someone who's only grown up in it.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, good point. He also says it's his fault.
Oh, no.
He says it's his fault this happened to him. And then Jodi shows up, okay, down the street at her house. And the guy's like, oh, Jodi's here. She's going to be looking for... she's a bad lady or a scary lady or something like that. We need cops here immediately. Like, his tone changed so quick. Not the little boy, the grown-ass neighbor. Sorry, I
Wow.
just cussed. But, yeah, as soon as Jodi gets there, like, oh, they're going to be looking for him, and oh, she's not a good lady, and we need cops here. Like, I thought that was super weird. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's because he's seeing what happened to this little
He
boy.
made a statement
or-
saying that she creeped him out and that he's felt that way about her for a while.
The neighbor?
The neighbor. Yep.
Interesting.
He made a statement to somebody. I saw some news coverage. So I don't have receipts on this, but go search. But I'm positive he made a statement where he said, yeah, you know, I've always had question marks and I've always been creeped out by Jodi. And I knew of her profession, things like that. So I just kept my distance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I thought listening to the 911 call was interesting. Like, it provided some insight, and hearing that he blames himself is, like, really awful, which
Horrible.
doesn't help what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
Which is the fact that Jodi is blaming her kids for everything that happened to them, which is totally why he believes it's his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, so she had a court hearing recently, and she zoomed in, and she said she basically pinned it all on them, making claims that one of the kids began looking at pornography at age 3. Sorry, not possible.
Yep.
Not even possible unless there's some kind of assault happening to that child.
Well, unless they're being forced to do that. A 3-year-old is not going to be able to grab a phone or a computer
That's what I'm saying.
and know what to type in. Like,
Yeah.
no
That's an
concept
assault.
no concept of spelling words to even be able to look that up. Like, that doesn't, what?
It's not even possible. So she said also that her child has been essaying a younger sibling for years, adding
Dude.
that eventually the two of them began to abuse each other. She also claimed 2 children played a patting game with each other, but didn't go into further detail. She said that her child also confessed to essaying 20 people, including cousins and neighbors. She didn't provide any proof at all, of course not, just made these ridiculous claims to discredit and blame her own children for her abuse and Jodi's abuse. And the judge said that the kids need to be placed in homes with no other children. Which I think is a safe decision for now. Because if they have been essayed, and there's a chance that they could be doing it as well because they've been raised in that kind of
So they're going
environment.
to split them up?
They're splitting all the kids up.
I don't...
From what I know.
Dude, I don't know if I agree with that. They just went through the most traumatic thing ever, and at least
been
you can,
raised in it.
At least you can live in. Yeah, you're right. They have been raised. You're right. You're right. But it could be traumatic losing their mother and parent and guardian and being forced into a whole new life. So just to side with splitting them all up instead of giving them a resource to be able to have somebody they can trust and somebody they can bond, because you're expecting a group of family, regardless of what the dynamic was, to split them all up, and it's like putting them on a whole new planet with whole new everything. Why can't we just get a therapist, 1, 2, 3 therapists for 3 different opinions to talk and work with all of these children? Why are we taking Jodi's word for it on this situation? That's not okay either, in my opinion.
You're talking about Ruby?
Or Ruby, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that comment, like, even if that is true, I do not blame the children. It is 100% her fault.
Absolutely.
100% her fault.
It is.
Even if that is true, they don't know how to have regular relationships with kids their own age, with adults, with anything, because they
No.
have a psychopath for a mother.
I know. So,
So frustrating.
So, You know how we watched Jodi Hildebrandt's niece come out, okay? Mm-hmm. And talk about her, like, experience being under Jodi's care and going through Jodi's therapy and teachings and stuff like that. She was on Mormon Stories podcast, which is super good. Go check it out. But she also, I guess, so she didn't plan on ever talking to the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. But then this hearing happened, and she heard the allegations that Ruby was making against her kid, and she went to mainstream media and was like, I need to talk because this is exactly what Jodi did to me. Like, okay, she also, March 9th, 2010, the niece told the police about what Jodi was doing to her.
In
she
2010?
In 2010.
Wow.
She was 17, and she went to the police and told
Mega
them...
lawsuit right there. Jeez.
Told them what was going on, that her aunt was being very mean and strict, forcing her to sleep outside in a sleeping bag.
Dude.
Outside the house. Like, literally outside. She even said in an interview that it was in the snow.
What?
Yes.
Are there polar bears there?
No.
Oh.
What?
What? What?
What did you just ask me? Polar bears in Idaho or Utah or wherever the heck these Mormon people are?
Well, you said snow.
What do you think, they're in Antarctica?
Yeah.
The Arctic?
The North Pole.
No.
And they follow the snow. They migrate with the snow.
No. So, she was only allowed to shower for 7 minutes at a time, and she was forced to wear duct tape on her mouth to limit her talking.
Like to church.
Yeah, to church, out in public. And that Jodi had these little spies and stuff that would report on what she was doing. She also said that Jodi accused her of being, like, masturbating just nonstop. Like,
I'm telling you, Jodi is an undercover
lesbian.
lesbian.
She is.
And a freaky one.
I believe that now.
Me too. And I don't mean it. We are not saying it in like a derogatory way, you guys. We aren't saying, oh yeah, she's a lesbian like that. Like, based on the evidence we're seeing.
A homosexual, yes.
And in correlation to what we've seen in the past with people who have been forced to be closeted because of a belief system, because of parents, because of some kind of exterior source other than themselves, these are the type of behaviors that we see in reaction to that forced suppression of these things. And I agree. She is trying to take out sexual harm on everyone around her because she herself is sexually frustrated. She goes out and calls all these other women lesbians because she herself could be a lesbian or has these feelings.
She also just has this...
She has to bring everyone to her level so she can justify she's not a lesbian in her own head.
Yeah, and she just has an obsession with accusing people of being, like, obsessed with sex.
Yeah.
And
it's
the niece,
all sex
the niece
and
said,
gay.
The niece said, I had no idea what that even meant. She's like, she told me I was watching porn all the time, masturbating all the time. She said, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know what that was. Like, I was that innocent that I had no idea what any of that was or how to do it or anything. Like,
so
no
wild.
exposure to it at all. So Hildebrandt also told her niece that she was going to be a cheap hooker one day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And her whole goal was to make the girl as, like, Hildebrandt's whole goal was to make her niece as uncomfortable as possible to make her, like, admit what she was doing wrong. And she kept telling her, if you just tell me the truth, I'll stop. If you just tell me the truth, I'll stop. And she said it never worked. Like, so I would admit things that I never did, which is probably what happened to this little boy, admitting that he abused 20 people.
Oh, good call out.
They were torturing him. They were torturing him. Well, that's what she called out. It's a good call out on her part because they were torturing him. And she literally went through this herself, admitting things she never did. because she was being tortured and coerced into it and said, I'll stop if you tell me the truth.
And it's all because of their own personal weird feelings that stems from Jodi.
Yeah. And also discrediting them, which she said is why when she made this police report, nobody took her seriously. When she tried to come out to people in the church, nobody took her seriously because Jodi had already put it in everyone's head she's this angry, messed up teenager. So like she told him all kinds of things about her.
And what she was doing to couples, too.
Character assassinated this little girl, her own niece, so that when she tried to get help for her abuse, she literally couldn't because nobody believed her.
So disgusting.
Well, that's what she also thinks that Ruby's doing to her son, is she's discrediting him. She's making him look bad and coerced probably confessions into him. And now nobody's gonna believe him. And he's separated from his siblings now.
I just want to make a statement too, because we are always evidence-focused and evidence-based, you guys. Now, they have not been convicted of these crimes, so understand that. But I need you guys to understand that there are certain crimes and situations out there where the evidence is overwhelming. I understand that they're not convicted yet. I get it. But I'm comfortable talking about them like they already are convicted because they got caught red-handed. Literally walked in on these things being done. There is no better evidence out there. There is no stronger. You don't need DNA. You don't need eyewitnesses. They were walked in on doing this.
And
these women
people
are guilty. I mean, those tons of people don't even matter. They got caught red-handed.
They did.
The cops walked in there with children tied up and chained up and being starved red-handed.
Yep.
So just to be clear, because I always get nervous jumping on this bus where I'm like judging someone really harsh or just disgusted by the situation, because I am disgusted by it. But it's because they got caught red-handed. They're guilty. They are guilty, dude.
Yeah, but shout out to Jodi Hildebrandt's niece. I actually don't know what her name is. It doesn't even... Jessie, you're right. It is Jessie. Oh, I think it's they, them pronouns. My bad. But shout out to you, Jessie, like, for coming forward. That's super brave, and I'm glad that you decided to go to mainstream media with it and call it out because of what these kids are going through right now. And, you know, being able to say this is what happened to me. I think it's going to be vital to the court case. If this goes to trial, maybe. I think her testimony is going to be a big deal.
They got caught red-handed, so I don't think it matters. I don't think any of these eyewitness accounts matter. The only reason why I think those will matter is because if the law enforcement wants to go hard and make sure these women are put away for life, what they'll do is they'll use every situation where she manipulated a couple, causing some kind of negative outcome between a husband and a wife. They'll use each of those as a single charge, stack up like 20, 50, 60 charges so that she pleads down to something smaller that puts her away for her whole life. That's what I could see happening, and why those eyewitness accounts are or firsthand accounts are important. But
these ladies are going away for the rest of their life, pretty much. And if they ever get out, it'll be when they're super old.
Yeah.
So it's basically life.
Is a good thing. And you guys, for our parents out there, what parent would get in trouble, walk into a court or whoever's holding you accountable and throw your 12-year-old under the bus? What?
Yeah.
What?
For your own actions.
If, I don't believe any of it's true, but if it is true, shame on you for not bringing it up sooner, talking to experts, talking to the parents of the victims, figuring it out and saying, I don't know what's going
Getting
on.
help
We're going
for
to
your
try
own
to
kids?
figure it on. Letting law enforcement know love is holding people accountable, but not accountable where you're the judge, jury, and executioner like she's claiming she was for her kids. That's not what accountability looks like. Accountability looks like what is the socially acceptable punishments of that time.
Well, see, I thought it was also interesting that they're making him out to be a predator because Jodi's obsessed with doing that too. Like Adam Steed, like putting him in an offender group when he was a victim.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And she beat it into him that he could possibly do something like that.
Yeah.
It's messed up. So, but I think he said that's kind of part of the culture in the Mormon religion, I think, a little bit. Like, a lot of people looked at him like that when he talked about being a victim, that, oh, should you be around kids?
That's so ridiculous.
He kind of mentioned that in his
ridiculous,
interview.
man.
But yeah, the lesbian thing I think is a big deal. I think that's a really important, like, underlying thing under the surface, because she's got a history of breaking up tons of marriages, just like Ruby Franke's and Kevin's marriages. But anyway, I want to move on to the sisters talking. So basically, there's two sisters that are also YouTubers. And they came out, separate videos, saying that Ruby completely cut them off.
Okay,
Like,
what does that mean?
3 years ago, she just cut them off completely.
Okay.
They didn't get to know anything about their nieces or nephews. Like, they didn't get to know anything. They just got cut off.
Wow.
They said that they don't like... They also were calling out Kevin. Like, Kevin was a part of this. Which, Kevin's lawyer is heavily... taking a step back and being like, Kevin was not a part of this.
I mean, that's what he legally has to say. There's
Yeah.
no way to know without evidence. I stand right in the middle. If I'm a coin, I'm standing on my edge waiting to see which way I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But we need evidence one way or the other, because that's just too close, in my opinion, to take a chance and put a child with him.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how you guys feel.
Yeah. I know. I agree with you. They need to look into Kevin and see if he had any idea, because I don't know if I believe that he had no idea. So they basically said that they were a normal family. Everything was, like, good until Jodi came in the picture, and they started getting the family therapy. And just like I said
turning on
before, and that they think that the connections and all of that is complete indoctrination and bullcrap, that it's been ruining their lives for
Ruby
years.
saying that?
No, the
okay.
sisters.
Okay, the sisters. Got it. Well, you were just talking about the husband, so I wasn't sure if you were talking about Ruby and the husband, or, okay, the sisters. Got it.
No, the sisters are calling out the husband.
Got it.
Like, he's a part of
Yep.
it. Like, he had a responsibility and he did not fulfill that.
Yep.
Which I can agree.
I agreed.
So, anyway, they said they didn't know, though, like, that the kids were being abused. They didn't find out until about a year ago when the eldest daughter became an adult, Sherry, and they connected with her, and they started talking, and Sherry started finding out stuff her mom was lying about, and then letting them know also kind of what was going on, and then they started trying their best within the legal bounds to get help for the kids. And they've been fighting this for a year.
That is wild.
So Kevin's lawyer came out, okay, this is the last thing. He said he never had any reason to believe that the children are being abused. So him and Ruby had been separated for 13 months, and he had no idea that she took the kids to Jodi's house. She was emotionally controlling him because she knew how much he valued their marriage and family. And it was his desire to get back with the family and to preserve the marriage. And so he was taking direction from her. She was basically saying, this is what you need to do, which kind of sounds like Jodi's MO, I gotta be honest.
I agree.
Like in the Adam Steed situation,
Yep.
that's pretty much what happened. She
hated
infiltrates
men
the wife.
and
She infiltrates the wife and screws over the man because she despises him and thinks he's like a gross, horny monster.
Yeah.
So her direction was that it's so much better off at home without him, and that she thinks they can salvage the marriage, but like she doesn't want him to have communication with the kids for right now. And then she will reach out when they're ready for communications. Isn't that so? That is such extreme manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can fix our marriage, but it's so much better off without you here. And I just can't have communication right now, but I'll reach out when we can.
Yeah. Strange.
But we'll be able to fix the marriage, don't worry.
So strange. So
Super weird.
Uncommon. And like I get space, but like kids shouldn't be part of space, okay? Because both parents are equally important. Oh man, I
he
just
should
blown
still be
away.
able to see his kids.
I agree.
I do agree. I think he was being heavily manipulated through Jodi's masterful manipulation tactics, and they're all in the Mormon faith, and she's using that religion against them, and
which shocks me because women don't have any say in the Mormon religion, so I'm really surprised.
Yeah, but she's backed by the Mormon Church, which we found out through Jessie, the niece's interview.
The Mormon Church was helping her get her large payments from insurance companies because they were suggesting and they were manipulating what kind of therapy it was and all this other stuff. Yeah, I know. It's just insane stuff. So the Mormon Church knew what she was doing wrong and supported it because she supported their initiatives and vice versa. So
it's like wild, you guys.
That's how organized crime works.
Yeah.
Organized crime of belief systems.
Seriously. But if you haven't checked out like Adam Steed's interviews, Jessie, the niece's interviews, the sisters' videos about all of this mess, because they go into a lot of details and stuff that I didn't mention here, but I still thought it was important to talk about. Definitely go check them out.
Yeah.
Mormon stories. The sisters have their own, channels. There's all kinds of stuff. I think Sidebar Podcast might have had the niece on. I think that's what it was.
I think that the kids need to
Hidden True Crime. Hidden True Crime for Adam Steed too.
The kids need to sue the heck out of Ruby.
Oh yeah.
They need to, all of them. They need to take everything monetary that she's worth so they're set up because they got money and she's putting them through hell. And they need to be set up for college and life and have a nice kickstart because all they've had in their life is not true parental love.
I mean, you know that Ruby filmed her daughter going into puberty, buying bras, starting her period, shaving, and having sex talks. All on her channel. Like, this channel was built off of the abuse.
The kids' backs.
The kids' backs. And they were being abused. They were being exploited, starved. Like, it started, I'm telling you, the abuse started before Jodi. We can see that clearly on the channel if you watch any of the clips. That was before Jodi was
sleeping on the floor for 3 months. Like, what? When you have a bed in a room, you take your son who's puberty age, going through puberty, and puberty is so hard for boys. I'm sure it is for girls too, but I just have my experience. But so hard for boys, so uncomfortable, unsure of yourself, unsure of all these changes, and you take his bedroom away from him?
First, 7 months, yeah.
During that for all you people watching...
It's a Mormon belief that kids pretty much shouldn't have privacy, though.
Do you know what happens to a boy going through puberty that is sleeping? Do you know how they wake up every night? Do you know how things happen while they're sleeping? And you take all their privacy away.
That's super embarrassing.
Super embarrassing, completely out of his control, and he could possibly be waking up with all of his family around him with wet, you know what I mean?
Wet pants.
All that stuff that comes with it. Dude, abuse, manipulation, everything. Like, oh man, it gets me so worked up. I'm so tired tonight, and this is still getting me so worked up. Like, God, man.
Yeah. You know, people died at that camp she sent her son to? Like, kids literally have died there.
I'm not surprised.
So, yeah, the abuse started before Jodi, so I'm not convinced that the husband has no idea about the abuse. Now, I do think a lot of it is rooted in Mormon culture and beliefs. That Jodi further manipulates and makes more extreme.
Yeah.
But I do think there's some rooting in culture and beliefs there.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say that there's some denial with the husband because she was the face of the channel. He was not on it nearly as much as her, not even close to as much as her based on everything that I'm seeing. So was she the one making the decisions and he was there to be the yes man where
probably
yes, no matter what she says, yes, you know, happy wife, happy life. And so no matter what she says, he says yes. He still needs to be held accountable, but it is a much different accountability than what hers is going to be. He needs to see a therapist. He needs to be trained on what it looks like to be a good parent, how a good parent engages, how a good parent teaches their kid, holds them accountable in a healthy way, loves them, cares for them, and you know what I mean? Like, he needs all of that.
Yeah, I think Jodi saw an abusive mother that had similar values to her and a pushover dad and thought, and a huge following of 2 million for her to get her ideas for God out there that would benefit the world. She'd save the world.
Yep.
And she took advantage of it. She split them up. Probably was sleeping with Ruby, to be honest.
I think Ruby took advantage of her too.
Oh yeah.
I think it was dually motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not letting Ruby off at all.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
No way. I don't even think Ruby was that hardcore manipulated, if I'm being honest. She was already abusive.
She was bought in. She's like, oh my God, I'm in love.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that's exactly what it was. But anyway, we want to know what you think.
As always.
Yep, as always. And that's that on 8 Passengers for right now.